Welcome, Alan, our chairman, to Northwood podcast. It's so good to have you. We are really intrigued and looking forward to hear all about your background. And please start with telling us a little bit about yourself. When did you come to the community with Judy? When did you come in general, and where were you born? A little bit about your background.
Okay, Rabbi, thank you. Lovely. Thank you very much for asking me. That's very nice. I've always wanted to do this interview, so it's a great chance. I grew up in Willesden, as many of the community knows, and in those days, Willesden had a huge Jewish community. In point of fact, around the area, we had 6 shuls, and we were members of Heathfield Park, which is now Bronsbury. But as I say, in those days, Willesden had 6 shuls. It also had one of the only Jewish schools in London, Northwest London Jewish Day, where I went to school, Johnny Grossman went to school, John's brother Bill went to school, and a number of other members of the community also went to Northwest London Jewish Day. Judy was actually in a class 3 years below me. So Willesden was a very Hamish community, lots of things going on, and it was an ideal place to grow up. Over a period of time, people moved out of Willesden, but over the last 15 or 20 years, people have gone back into Willesden. It now has a thriving shul at Bronsbury, which has grown full of young people. And it's amazing, as people have moved back in again, Willesden has started again and become a very thriving community.
So you what do you remember as a child, with the actual synagogue? Do you have any first memories about the synagogue?
I used to go to, yes, I used to go there. I used to go to Jewish school and then on to Hebrew classes afterwards. And even after I left the Jewish school, I went to a non-Jewish school, but used to go there every day for my kosher lunches and to Hebrew classes.
That was in the shul or in the school?
No, in the shul. I used to walk 1.5 miles, 2 miles to shul every day for kosher lunches.
Wow.
And in another shul in Willesden, Shavening Road, where Judy went to school at Bronsbury and Kilburn, and there was Kilburn Grammar Boys School. In that shul, there was also kosher lunches, and people used to come from the various schools in the area to go to kosher lunches at Heathfield Park, Shavening Road, and Warm Lane shuls.
Wow, what was included in that lunch? It was just food, or was there some kind of?
No, it was just food. It was delivered there. It was just food. You used to go there, have your lunch, and then go back to school again. So it used to take 20 minutes to walk there, 20 minutes, a few minutes to have lunch, and then walk back to school every day.
Wow, very nice, amazing. So when did you get out of there? When did you move forward?
I moved out of there when I was 20. I moved to Bushey, Bushey Heath, and my ex-wife and I were founder members of Bushey Shul, which used to meet in a hall behind the police station.
Okay.
And we then moved to Northwood about 36, 37 years ago.
Wow. Why Northwood? What was special about Northwood?
Price of property was cheaper in those days.
Very nice.
There was some nice developments going on here, and there was a growing young Jewish community in those days. Unfortunately, fortunately, we've all grown old together.
Yeah.
But it was a thriving young Jewish community. We had a kahila here, but in those days, like many of the Northwood community, we were members of Pinner. And over a period of time, we formed our own kahila and gradually broke away from Pinner.
So you sorry, yes?
No. But you were the young community in those days.
So you were involved in the Pinner community, like you're involved here, or less?
Not as much. We really only got involved in the community when Northwood was being formed, and we were some of the founder members of the community. And in those days, many of the community will tell you that we used to schlep around in the back of our Volvos, the Ark and the Mechitza and everything else, and it used to be put up every week in the hall behind the United Reformed Church, near where the shul is. And it used to be down there every week. We used to have a service, put up everything, take it down, have a kiddush in the hall behind this hall, And we managed to run a service like that for a number of years before we had our own building.
Wow. How was give me a little bit of insight, the atmosphere, the excitement of building something new.
It was very exciting. Many of the members who are involved from day one are still members of the community. When you're building something from scratch, it is always exciting. We used to get a different laner in every week, or those of us who can remember Michael Fluss, who used to lane for us regularly, used to come and eat in people's houses every Friday night. And he used to stay somewhere different every week. And it was exciting because we used to put the shawl together on a Friday before Shabbat came in and take it away again on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And United Reformed Church, without their support, this community would not have existed. And it was something to work with. It created a foundation. It created the harmony and the unity that we have in the Northwood community, starting from scratch, building up, and buying 3 houses where the shul is today. So the 2 houses where the shul stands today we owned, and we owned another house just down the road. And it was those houses that we bought as a community that enabled us to build our own shul. And initially, many of the members will remember, planning permission was not immediately granted. And it was only on a change of council that eventually we got planning permission to build the shul.
Wow. Amazing. Let's jump, to these days with you becoming a chairman and especially with the COVID. How do you manage to balance your personal life, and which is I understand you're not retired yet. You have your job and so on, and to manage it and balance it with what you're doing in the community.
It's my day basically is many members know I'm up very early in the morning. I do my morning exercises. I'm out walking the streets or cycling about 5:30 in the morning. By 7:30, I'm normally on the computer doing all the shul work, doing the daily newsletter, liaising, sending out emails, deleting emails. And I try and get as much done for the shul as I possibly can before 9:30. So I'm normally sitting down by 7:30. By 9:30, I've normally cleared a lot of the shul stuff, even though I have emails, WhatsApps, and other groups to get involved in during the day. I estimate that on average, I spend about 4.5 to 5 hours a day on shul work.
Wow.
I spread it across the day. And that's the way I get it done. But I try and get the bulk of the work done by 9:30. So I know my day's clear to get involved in work, other activities. I also I'm a caseworker for the Paperweight charity, which is a Jewish charity that supports people that find looking after their affairs very difficult. So if I've got a case that I'm working on, I'll obviously get stuck in as well. And I'm also chairman of the local community council as well. So I have to clear up that work during the day at the same time. The great thing is at the moment, Zoom allows us to do so many things that we couldn't in the past. And it allows me to run lots of meetings and have lots of meetings during the day.
Wow, amazing. If I would ask you this type of question, what is a community's success? How do you assess a Jewish community success? What is the criteria for as a chairman to say that, wow, we succeeded in a Jewish community, in this type of Jewish community
Yeah, I can only take the Northwood community. I think the Northwood community, despite its size, we're only 389 members, has been a huge success because everyone works together. We have tremendous support for our members. Whenever a crisis occurs, our members pull together and we support each other, and we support others as well, which was clearly seen by the amount of food that we raised for the Ellen Church Food Bank late April, early May, which was quite astounding. This community pulls together at the time of crisis. It pulls together for each other. It supports its rabbi, and it supports each other. And whenever a situation has arisen that needs the community to support it, the community has always raised itself up and supported that task and done remarkably well. You only have to look at the amount of activities that we have going on at the moment with our shias, talks, Kabbalah Shabbat services, the morning services, and all the other social events going on. So how we've managed to pull together.
So what, if I would say to you in 5 years from now, what would you call a success? Like where do we see ourselves? Where do you see ourselves in this type of a community in 5 years? And what would you say that will be called a huge success in 5 years? And also connected to the religious aspect to it, of course.
For me, success of this community is that we retain our numbers, i.e. we stay at around about 390, 400 members. We attract new members in from other areas. We have to accept that the demographic of the Jewish community is moving towards Borehamwood, Elstree, Radlett, London Colney and places like that. And we have to accept that the members that will come out to this community may not be of the younger generation. But if we can have new members joining us from other areas such as Kenton, Kingsbury, Wembley, who are moving out to retire, to buy a different property, and we can maintain our numbers, that would be a huge success. It would also be a huge success for this community to continue with our regular services, ensuring we have minions for our weekday services. Our shias carry on. For Shabbat service, we can have 60, 70, 80 people turning up. And then for Yomim Noraim, we continue to fill the shul. That's the success, that this community can maintain its numbers for the future. And the enthusiasm of the community doesn't wane over the next 5 years. And not only is the social side important, we have to ensure that our religiosity doesn't wane, and we can ensure that we have minions for our services. We have a vibrant Shabbat service, and our Yom Tovim is celebrated as they are at the moment.
Wow. Okay. Where would you stand regarding our fight against antisemitism, against what's happening in the world, and us as a community to fight or to stand, to be vocal against what is happening in the world?
Well, we, like any other Jewish community, we have to stand up and be heard. Where we see government, councils, organizations not supporting the Jewish community in the sense of possibly not accepting the international definition of anti-Semitism, those that are criticizing Israel because it's Israel, not because we shouldn't criticize some of the things Israel does, but because they're criticizing it for being Israel, we have to be vocal in our support. We're very fortunate with a member of the Synagogue Council working very hard on the Board of Deputies. We get feedback from the Board of Deputies so we know what's going on. We have to be heard. The Jewish community cannot stand back and not be heard. And the Jews of Northwood have to do exactly the same. If we see anti-Semitism in any shape or form, we have to stand up and be heard and criticize it and stand up for our rights and say, we're a Jewish community, we're proud to be a Jewish community. We need to ensure that the Jewish community accepted and does not have to accept anti-Semitism in any shape or form. And all councils, all organizations have to be held up and be held responsible for their attitudes if they do not accept the definition of anti-Semitism. But we also have to accept the persecution of minorities. Islamophobia is unacceptable, and we have to support other persecuted minorities, such as the Jewish community. We have to be even-handed across the board, because it's not only the Jewish community that is being
persecuted
and things that happen. We have to accept it across the board, and we have to support other communities as well.
Very well, very well. What lessons have you learned from this COVID period? Personal maybe lessons, and also lessons that are connected to our community.
I've learned that one has to be a lot more patient. It's very nice not going into the office every day. Not that I was working full time, I wasn't. Yeah. The wonders of modern technology have allowed us to keep in contact with friends, family, community. But what I've learned about our community is that I thought it was always a wonderful community, but it's gone up even greater in my estimation with what's been happening, the support we give to others, Northwood Network, members of the community ringing up others, doing shopping for members of the community. And people have all pulled together to ensure that no one is left out. If you want to be involved in our community, I believe there's something there for everybody. I'm not saying you have to come and join in our Zoom meetings. What I am saying is, what we try and do, there is something there for everybody, whether it's on the things that you do, Rabbi, on the social side. I think we've managed to pull together a program of events that offers something for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Wow, fantastic! And in a lighter moment, how do you communicate with your family? How do you feel that this COVID is doing, with this relationship? How do you manage to stay in contact? Probably Shabbat meals is not on the table. It's not the same. You cannot be connected to the grandchildren and so on. So how do you overcome that?
Well, certainly in the main lockdown period, before Shabbat came in, we used to have a family kiddush with my 4 daughters and their family, and so, which was great. Now, because we can go in the back garden and we can get the family over, they can sit in the back garden socially distanced from us. So we're managing to see the family a lot more. But like every other Jewish mother, Judy speaks to her children every day of the week, so they're always in contact. And of course, WhatsApp is a fabulous way of keeping in contact with the family. Yeah. So we're very fortunate that all of our daughters live within a very close distance to us, so we're able to keep in contact with them. They're not abroad. They can come over and sit in the back garden, and it's allowed us to keep in contact with the family.
Fantastic. One last question: what message would you share with our community, especially those that feel very lonely in these times and are very isolated and for a long time, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future, especially in the next winter, but coming to Rosh Hashanah, what kind of message would you share with them?
Those of our members that feel a little bit isolated, that don't feel as though their family are distant, are away from them, they can't keep in contact, social distancing may carry on for a while. What I'd like to say to them is, we don't contact you, we will try and contact you.
Sure.
Pick up the telephone, speak to Estelle, call you, Rabbi, let's have a chat.
We are here for them.
Call the Rebbitzin, have a chat. We're here for you if you need us. We will try our very best to be in contact with every single member of the community before the Yom Noraim. But if you feel lonely, you feel as though you need someone to talk to, just pick up the telephone. The community is there for you, and I know the community will give you every support you need.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming and sharing the insights and your personal background. I appreciate it a lot. And B'ezrat Hashem, many, many more years in health and safety, B'ezrat Hashem.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. I've enjoyed speaking to you.
Thank you.
And hopefully you'll be with us for many years to come.
Amen. Thank you. Perfect. I'm going to upload it. Yeshakach. Thank you.